Well, it's been a week since we came back from Gen Con 2023.
Yeah. Can I have a second Gen Con?
In about 360 days, you can.
Such a wait. Welcome to Wisco Dice! Hey yo folks, I am your host, the Conesy with the Most, and I am joined today by...
Hey, I'm Suzanne.
And today, we're going to talk about our experience this year at Gen Con 2023, that Lorcana event. Oh no, I mean Gen Con. I really do mean Gen Con. We're going to cover all the stuff we did, all the games we actually picked up, and just to note, we were there independently. So everything we experienced, everything we are going to talk about on this, we purchased or paid for with our own money. There was no sponsorship, no publishers giving us anything, nothing like that. I think a couple of publishers maybe even tried, a couple of the smaller ones on Sunday, but we actually insisted that we would pay for it. So not that we don't take games and things like that from publishers, but we really wanted to make sure that for this year's Gen Con, we were doing it on our own dime.
Before we get into exactly what was going on there, just a reminder to like this video and also subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date with what we are doing and what games we've been playing.
Of course, don't forget to also ring that little bell. Just click on it to make sure you get notified every time we release new videos here at Wisco Dice. But with that, let's go ahead and let's roll into day one, Wednesday at Gen Con. Now, we actually start out our Gen Con, it might be the best 4 days in gaming, but we really started on Wednesday, which means we had 5 days of gaming.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that's always great. It's the warm up, we get there early enough on Wednesday that we're able to enjoy our evening and kind of just explore and remind ourselves the layout of the convention center and how we're going to get there from our hotel and everything.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There's always cool new games that are up in some of the glass cases near the exhibit hall and around the convention center. You get to, see things. The block party opens 4 o'clock on Wednesday. It actually opens, I think, a little earlier than that. But the getting the beer and stuff like that is 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Yeah,
it's nice to kind of see the semi-calm before the storm of
before the full
real
insanity.
Gen Con is starting.
Yeah.
So you can walk, you can just enjoy things. It's much more relaxed. No one's in a hurry really to get anywhere. So it was a long 5 to 6 hour drive for us to get there from Wisconsin, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it was really easy for me because Conesy did all the driving down.
Yes. Well, it's easier to make the drive there than it seems to be to make the drive back.
Yeah, I don't mind the drive
for some
back.
reason.
Yeah. So, and then we were fortunate enough to get a spot in the hotel block and be able to stay at the JW Marriott, which was, our goal was to stay with a connected hotel for us this year, and just check in, park in there was a breeze.
Yeah, first time we stayed at the JW Marriott too, so
it's a nice surprise.
Definitely, I definitely recommend there. I mean, it's of the connected hotels, it's the furthest away from pretty much everything, except for open gaming, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Yes. Open gaming is very important to us. And I mean, we've stayed at connected hotels, non-connected hotels, close hotels, far hotels. Well, he has stayed at the far hotels.
Yeah. I've been all the way out to like the hotel, out by the airport before.
The convenience factor was a big deal for us, especially since Conesy and I this year did a lot of our events independent of each other. Too. Yeah. So normally when we go to Gen Con in the past years, for most part, our stuff has matched up. We've attended events together or been very close together, same schedule. This year, pretty much, hey, we shared a hotel room and that's about it, and sometimes. So.
I mean, this year was the first year we also, at least from my point of view, really tried to use Gen Con more as a a way to get the word out about Wisco Dice as much as it was about enjoying the convention. So for me, when we roll into Thursday, it turns into much more activities that I'm focused on trying to help promote the podcast and stuff like that. But that wasn't all the things we did on Wednesday, right? So we did hike out to the block party.
Yep.
We did wait in the ridiculously long line to get the Gen Con beer.
But it was not as long as some other days.
Oh yes, it was not so long. Or the island noodles. So
you were in and out of island noodles in under an hour.
Oh, in under 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So one of the food traditions that most Gen Conners at some point during the convention try to do is a food tent called Island Noodles. It's noodles and vegetables and just kind of
the freshest vegetables you'll get all week.
Yep, just about, right? We actually probably got fresher, but
but from the food,
But from that food truck area, all the food trucks are great. But as far as getting something that actually had a balanced meal of vegetables and things that might actually be healthy for you. We kind of the first year we discovered them was the COVID year.
We could finally see them and get to that.
When the line was not that bad. But the line wasn't too bad Wednesday night, so I jumped in the line and quick grabbed us dinner of island noodles because they didn't have, and the big reason here is I was super excited to get my lobster roll from Naughty Lobster, and what we realized is that Wednesday night they actually didn't have the food trucks out there. So all you really had for food options in the block party area were the tents that were inside the parking lot behind behind ICC.
And there were some great options. There were some great options there, but Island Noodles is now part of our Gen Con experience every year is going to get it.
I mean, it was the things that I was,
whether he realizes it or not.
I could go either way. But it is really good, but there's so many other food options and food trucks and whatever. I really just have my Naughty Lobster roll. That's kind of my one thing I really want to grab. And then after that, I'm fine. Yeah. But, it was great. So we're sitting there eating and just kind of hanging out in the block party area. And the rest of the people that we kind of were that were friends from Madison that we knew that were coming, Jason, Matt, Robin, all of those, April, Sean, people we were going to be playing
Matt,
True Dungeons
who's also
later.
a host on the podcast.
Yep, Matt,
and their daughter was there.
Matt the Ghost Walker. So, it's hanging out with a bunch of friends. I think Jason, Sean, and April all took off pretty quickly to go get food at some other restaurant because the line for the beer was way too long for them to wait.
Yep, and everything else was getting longer. Yeah.
So, they were starting to show up when I think a lot of other people were starting to turn out for the block party. Yeah. So then we're sitting there hanging out with Matt, and the next thing we know, these three strangers that we've only ever seen on video showed up. Yeah. Plus a few extra people that they had with them. I think they were helping run their booth or whatever that weekend.
Yep.
So
their crew. So
who was it?
Hey, so it was the Sophisticated Cerberus Games crew. So big shout out to them. We had a blast meeting them in person as they were walking through the block party to get to another event or appointment that they had. So Jeremy, Ethan, Matt, it was great to meet you guys in person.
That was awesome. Yeah. I did not expect that at all. And then I just turned around and here you were, boom, hey, I know you.
Yep. Yeah. So that was great.
Looking forward to having a good conversation and another interview with that crew. But the big thing was it was awesome to start to have them come hunt us out, right? They kind of I'm sure they were out there checking out the block party themselves, and they were heading over to some vendor event on Wednesday night that Gen Con has. Yeah. So, they were just, it was a quick, hey, good to meet you. We happened to be out here too, and they must have caught on our social media. I think we had posted pictures of the beer or something like that. We were at the block party. So they actually came and sought us out and found us, which is awesome. Yeah. You also met some other gamers.
Ben was standing in line for the Island Noodles, and I was holding down a couple seats at a table with the beer. I met a family that drove in from Pittsburgh and had a lovely conversation with them. It was their kid's first Gen Con, I believe. And Oh my gosh, they were so excited to be there and told me all about their costumes. And unfortunately, try as I might, I did not catch sight of them in their costumes the rest of the con. But hey, Princess Peach and Kyle from South Park, if you're listening, had a fabulous time talking with you both on that Wednesday night.
I mean, with something like 80-ish or 85,000 attendees, the place was pretty insane for the next 4 days.
I was hoping,
it was hard to find anyone. So,
yep.
Including people we went there with.
Yes.
So.
Yes. But yeah, so I mean, that was Wednesday. It was a great start to Gen Con. Always is going in and join the block party. And I should note is that the block party was in a new location this year. In past years, it's been on Georgia Street where they blocked off Georgia Street and had it there. This year, it was in the parking lot between the convention center and Lucas Oil. And for me, yeah, it was it felt like a longer walk, but I really liked it because there were picnic tables to sit down at. There was tents for some of them for shade.
Absolutely. I preferred the location over Georgia Street just because there was more places to sit.
Yeah.
It felt more relaxed when you were out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I think because we were at the JW Marriott, it definitely was longer. It was further away from, like, say, the exhibit hall and everything. Like, I mean, you could get all the way to the block party in air-conditioned walk, but, like, it was nearly a half-mile walk from our hotel to
It was a half mile.
To where I was out on Lucas Oil, so yeah, about a half a mile, maybe a hair shorter to get to the block.
4.5 miles to it.
Oh,
okay,
my Lord.
I'm rounding up. I tracked it one day out of curiosity.
So, anyways, Lucas, so that was a bit of a hike, and it does. I think it factored in later, later in the convention, come Saturday when it came to things about food and some of our other decisions regarding food.
Yeah, but overall, it was a much more relaxed place to be. A lot easier to find comfortable place to sit and eat, and and just had everything. Yeah, it was
I'm
just
sure
nice.
that Wild Bill soda place loved it because there were probably less people getting refills than previous years.
Possibly, I don't know.
I'm sure they sold just as many. I'm sure they sold just as many cups because I definitely, like, Matt, Robin, and Josa all walked up to us. They all had their Wild Bill cups.
Yeah.
So they were definitely going to capitalize. Well, they said they just wanted the cup for the collectability of it. But I'm sure they maximize their refills.
Well, I mean, I would if I had.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but anyway, so that was our day one, which was Wednesday. So, Conesy, what happened on day two, which would have been Thursday?
So, Thursday, I ended up making the hike all the way out to Lucas Oil on, like, the furthest possible darn near spot in Lucas Oil from our hotel, which was a good 30-minute walk to get out there, which a large guy like me, by the time I got out there, I'm all huffing and sweaty, and just definitely told me I needed to work on getting in shape for Gen Con next year. And if you guys are out there that are like me, being maybe a little larger, out of shape, whatnot, and are interested in maybe helping go on some kind of geek challenge to maybe get in shape and lose a little weight, let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to hear about and see Wisco Dice help promote, because I'm definitely considering doing something like that, and having you guys to encourage me over the course of the next year would be really helpful. But I did finally find my table, and it was really confusing. You get out there. My first time ever running ticket events. I think
we should say this is on the football field.
Yes, this is on the field. Yeah. On Lucas Oil, the field.
Like you're a football player, but you're playing board games.
Yep. I mean, they do cover the field with like protective
plastic
tiles.
Interlocking tiles.
Which, honestly, were way better to stand on than the concrete itself, really which I had to deal with the next day. Got out there, got up to the tables. There's nothing labeled. No table numbers on anything. Just, there's colored paper cloths on the table, so I know I'm in the right section, but I have no idea where the table is. No map or anything like that indicating. I think there maybe was a map online, but I couldn't find it. There was other people there waiting for the game. They were way early too. I was there probably 20 or 30 minutes ahead of time. I wanted to be able to set up. So I had to hike. Then I'm like, okay, I made this giant hike. Now I had to hike over to like where the event HQ was on Lucas Oil, which is the opposite side of the field. So hike another 70 yards over there or so. Find the map, figure out exactly what table I am, and then apparently while I only had the one table, like I could have just taken the whole row of tables that day because there were no other events all day long, which I wish I would have known because I would have just started setting up the other games I was going to run on the rest of the table as I was getting ready to finish the next game, so that each game would have been ready to go, and I wouldn't have felt like I was in a rush in between games. But I did run back-to-back games. First game was Architects of the West Kingdom with all the expansions, with my neoprene mat. Architects of the West Kingdom, absolute blast, full game. We had 4 of the 5 ticketed people show up. But then next up was Mysterium, which is another classic for me con game. And I like running it because I run all the con games I run. I never reserve a spot for myself. If somebody doesn't show up and there's a place to play, I will oftentimes play. But like Architects, because the teach ran a little long and everybody was very new to the game, I said, when one person, I had room, I could have played, and at the last minute I was like, okay guys, I'm just gonna take a step back because I want to make sure you guys get your full game in the time slot. Like that's part of this, like why I run these ticket events. I want to make sure you get the full game experience, and that way I'm unbiased completely when it comes to answering questions. The Mysterium game, it's great because I can actually sit there and run the Ghost, because the Ghost is the most complicated position to run, and so I don't have to teach that. I just have to teach the basics of the game. I did have one person who had played before, but they only played like once before and it had been a while ago, but it came back to them, and everybody was, there is nothing better about playing Mysterium at a con with a bunch of total strangers, and they sit down and you hand out the first vision card as the Ghost, and then you point out, like, 'cause they all forget. They seem like they forget, and the person's just like hoarding their card, and so staring at it, and like, hey, or their cards, depending on if I gave them multiples. And I point out, because I'm a ghost, I'm not supposed to help really, but I point out, hey, you need, everybody else gets to see your card. Everybody else can give you their opinions, and by the time you hand like the second or third players their cards, the whole table is just in this cacophony of chatting and strategy and trying to figure out and talking about which places they think is which for each player and stuff. I mean, I don't know how many friends have become friends post that game at cons because I've never tracked it and I don't really have a way to know. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of those people that I've ran Mysterium for have maybe swapped contact information or whatnot after the game, or tried to find each other after that game to hang out because they had such a good time playing Mysterium. And this was no different.
Yeah,
6 people.
Cooperative game where you don't actually need to know each other.
And it's not an easy game to quarterback either, because as you give out that 6th player their cards, you're flipping that timer and people got to make decisions fairly quickly. And so it goes. It's a very it's a great con game for that. I love how it brings people together. One of my favorite games to bring in a con. I think I run it at every con that I run events at. So very excited. And then finally I ran Distilled, which Dave from Paverson Games had noticed that I was actually running that as one of my ticketed events, and had reached out to us directly about giving each person at the game a coupon. And so you had ran over to the Paverson Games booth to grab those coupons. Yep. And I ran Distilled and gave out free coupons for everybody. It was full game, 5 players, and I ran it through the very tutorial based, because we're all brand new players, all experiencing for the first time. I ran it through the first taste rules for the first round. I actually read the book for them.
So what a wonderful way to learn a game.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you might say, hey, I don't have player agency or whatnot, but it's a con game. You're learning how to play. I don't have to sit there and spend 30 minutes teaching you. I'm literally telling you what to do. You do the thing. Maybe I have you read off a card you get or a bonus ability you get or whatever. And by the end of the first round, everybody gets it. And there's so much more game to go that you have plenty of time to make your decisions and actually make a strategy and kind of work it. and get a feel for the game. And
Yeah.
so, and it's and because it was a ticketed event, it's not like the demos that were maybe happening at the booth or some of the other ticketed demos that Paverson were running, where maybe it was, trying to get the game done faster. I let everybody experience the full game all the way through the end. I think there was no real major issues or anything like that. It was a good time by everybody. And that wrapped up my day of ticketed events. What did you do while I was running all of those ticketed events?
So I did run back and forth to Lucas Oil at least once or twice that day, I feel like.
I think so.
Which was fine, which was fun. I got to see a lot of Artist Row and everything else, and that was great. I love seeing how people are interacting at the convention center. My first game that day was supposed to be Endeavor, but the GM did not show up. I waited about 15 minutes before I gave up waiting for them. The plus side was that 2 of the other players that were going to be in the game showed up, and so I had a blast talking with Fran and Rebecca, and we just sat there and chatted, and we were all early too to the game, so chatted about that. And I met them ran into them a couple other times during the convention. So that was a lot of fun, actually. Like I do like talking to people and hearing what they enjoy and what they're doing. Even before that, I had, just sat down and was waiting at some different tables and talked to different game designers that were setting up and chit-chatted here and there. So I got a lot of talking in and a lot of walking in. After that game that didn't happen, a little bit later, I had playtests. I love doing the first exposure playtest hall. This year I just did 2 games in there, so that was fun. This first game was a area control type pyramid building game, and it was great because the designer had playtested it several times and was very focused on what they were looking for input on. And this time it was how to make the game move a little bit quicker. So it was really great to also have this focus and being able to do that. I'm excited and hoping that that game actually does come out to be published at some point, because I would definitely back it. I don't know that we had a name yet for it, so I can't tell you what name to watch for. And then in between those 2 games and everything else, I would just keep going into the vendor hall. In years past, in my previous 3 years there, even the pre-COVID Gen Con I went to.
In 2019?
Yes. I was able to walk through the vendor hall at a decent pace and look at tables and stuff. Oh my gosh, this year, Lorcana aside, it was crowded, wall-to-wall people. It took me more than half an hour to get from one side to the other, not even stopping at booths, really. So,
Thursday's always the busiest day,
Yeah.
I think, for the exhibit hall, and partially that's because it's the first day of the con. I mean, Saturday is the day that has the most tickets sold. In fact, Saturday was sold out this year, but there's also the most events going on and things like that, so people aren't necessarily flocking the exhibit hall.
And I don't think I've actually really been in the middle of the day on a Thursday either in the vendor hall, but I did manage to pick up a couple games and some dice, and it was so fun. Like, it was just great just seeing all these people excited about games and checking them out and everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, that was kind of my day. And then I think at that point, Cones and I, we were able to meet up.
Yeah, we both
for
met
some
up.
dinner and that evening together.
So I think I wanted to get back to the hotel room, right? Because I had all the stuff I'd wrapped up. The cart and whatever.
You needed a break.
Yep, I needed a little bit of a break. So I think we were thinking we were going to go to the food carts, and I was just like, I don't want to hike all the way back out there to the food carts. I don't want to stand in the food cart line with my cart. So let's just get back to the hotel, and we'll figure out food from there. And so we had upgraded our stay at the JW Marriott to have the executive lounge. I mean, I'm going to tell people not to do this because I want to make sure I have some place to sit in the executive lounge if I stay at the JW Marriott again. Wink, wink. But it was absolutely great. This was like another, I don't know, $40 or $50 upgrade per day for the 2 of us. to the stay, but it meant that we got a
breakfast.
Pretty standard hotel style breakfast.
Yeah, but it was
a continental breakfast with there was some eggs or bacon or sausage
or
whatever. It
was better than dry cereal.
Oh yeah, it was better than the dry cereal and
I got yogurt and a croissant and some fruit every day. It was for me.
Eggs,
it was great.
bacon or sausage and stuff like that. I mean, not the greatest food, but hey. But it also meant that we basically every time we went to the executive lounge, we restocked on soda because there was all you could drink, pretty much cans of Mountain Dew and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper and whatever. So I could grab a couple of cans of soda in the morning too.
And bottles of water.
I mean, you could have the hotel bring you bottles of water because that was also included in the room. But yeah, it was great.
It was cold
absolutely
water,
great. Definitely recommend that and recommend upgrading it. Yeah, absolutely.
And desserts,
it basically meant our food budget was covered pretty much by
it was cut in
that
half,
$50 a day. Yeah, probably cut in half about for the two of us for what we figured because of what we would be spending at the food trucks and whatnot.
Yes.
And it was completely unexpected. It was a last minute upgrade that we did at check-in. So
yes.
But it would prove to be absolutely brilliant for us throughout the course of the con was be able to go get an actual meal for breakfast, and then Thursday I hadn't eaten it all from breakfast. I hadn't eaten it all. I had no time because I was the only person running games, and my games were back to back to back. I had no time to walk away from my area to go get some food or go to the bathroom or anything.
I did bring you some Powerade.
Yeah, you brought me some extra beverage because I ran out. That was it. So I really appreciated it because I was very parched at that point.
Yeah.
But having that, it was, seating up in that executive lounge. I really think next year or whatever in the future, if Gen Con's going to be this busy, they need to account for, particularly in the evenings, because people were taking advantage of, there's going to be some big tables up here, and I upgraded the executive lounge, so I'll just lay out my board game and play on this big table, and we're going to sit here for 3 hours. Well, there was a real lack of seating in that room, which meant that, especially in the evenings, it sometimes was really hard to find a place to sit.
And that's when you need to sit down because you've been on your feet all day.
Yeah. So, but we did that. We did that. We grabbed some food. It was always really good food, all snack type food, but it was all really good food. Actually, there was one night was a Mediterranean. There was always fresh fruit, fresh vegetables.
Yep.
Absolutely great.
I am usually worried when we go to the conventions that trying to eat well-balanced meals is going to just kind of go out the window. And this year, I think we actually did really well with that.
Yeah,
without even trying too hard.
I probably ate better, more healthy this year at Gen Con than any previous year combined.
Yeah. So we did that, and then we packed up some games and found the Grand Ballroom at JW Marriott for some open gaming.
Which is on the third floor, and this is where Gen Con open gaming traditionally is every year.
Yep.
So it's on the third floor at the JW Marriott in the Grand Ballroom, which is just absolutely massive. As far as a hotel ballroom is concerned, it is absolutely massive.
Nice
and there are tables
ceilings,
everywhere.
So it's not too loud either.
I didn't have to really worry about trying to yell over anybody or burn out my voice.
You can bring snacks in there.
Yeah,
and they had water coolers, so if you ran out of water, if you need something to drink, that was easy enough. You didn't have to go on a half-hour quest to go find that.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice. Tables are spaced out.
Yeah, everything was spaced out. It wasn't like people were on top of each other. There were it was easy to, even in the evening. We were getting there in the evening when it was probably busier than any other part of the day. Easy enough to get a table in there. And I think part of that's because it's far enough removed. The JW Marriott, yes, it's connected, but it's far enough removed from everything else that's going on Gen Con that people either I never even realized it was there, this open gaming space was there until the COVID year when we found they had the open gaming space in the convention center, and I was like, this is amazing. I wish they had this kind of space. Oh wait, they do. It's in the JW Marriott.
And I think I knew that they did the first year that I went in 2019, but I was like, oh my gosh, it just seemed so prohibitively far that I was like, I didn't push trying to go find it or anything, but it's actually worth it to go walk over there.
I know people that like will hike around till they find some empty space in like halls A through D for the evening to play a game or two with friends, or they stake out an empty table in Lucas Oil to play with friends or whatever. Just hike over to the JW Marriott.
It's nice.
And play in the open gaming space. It's absolutely brilliant, and you don't have to worry about some GM showing up and going, "Hey, you're on my table." You don't have to try to, and it's less crowd. It's as much as it was crowded in that room. There were a lot of people in that room playing games, and a lot of people that were looking to play games.
Right.
It wasn't as loud as it is in halls A through D.
Yep. Overall,
nice.
it's more comfortable.
It was brighter.
Yes, it was very bright. The temperature was great. It was not like you didn't have some extremes, at least where we were staying. I didn't feel any drafts or anything. So it was just really comfortable. And like Conesy mentioned, there are people that are coming in there looking for games to play. So you're going to have people just walk it up. If you want to play games with more than whoever you have with you, or if you're just there solo, people are going to come up and you're going to find people to play games with. They found us, I guess.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
These.
So we were sitting there and we had our game set up that we had brought with us, and Vanessa and Gary walked up and they were looking for a game to play and they were interested. And so I played Starship Captains, and then they had a game called Halloween Party, which they had just purchased, that we played, and we had great laughs, great time to just play and talk through things. So that was really fun. That's kind of why I like going to open gaming. And you got to play up there too.
Yeah, so
right?
I got Distilled, probably one of the hottest games at Gen Con this year. Mm-hmm. Dave sold out of it every day over at the Paverson Games booth. Yeah, but we have our backer copy that we got from Kickstarter, so I ended up setting up that. I ended up just setting it up and sitting at another table and going, okay, I want to play. I really wanted to play Distilled, and I wanted to play a more full game of it. The actual, just like the game as it's set up from the book, and not the first taste type of game. So so I set it up, and I'm just kind of sitting there. The one thing is in years past, they have cones that have like looking for players.
Yeah,
and they didn't have those this year in the open play area. So
yeah,
it was just kind of like sitting there.
We'll make something for us to take.
Yeah,
next
we're
year,
definitely make sure we have something
there next year with that.
Yeah, stay tuned for more news about what Whisker Dice plans come about February. About what we're going to be doing exactly at Gen Con. Probably after the hotel block is booked.
Yeah,
and we've booked our hotel room. So sitting there, I ended up getting. I think we had 3 other people walked up and wanted to play. So I got a game going, and we were like probably round 3-ish. I'd finished the teach. We're all pretty heavily into the game, and lo and behold, Dave and a pile of the Paverson Games crew just walk up in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
And I've met Dave in person before at GameholeCon and spent a lot of time talking to him, as well as being on the podcast a couple of times. But it was awesome to have, here's another publisher that saw that we had posted our social media, hey, we're in the open gaming area. You know, if you're looking for a game, come meet up. Whisker Dice has a bunch of games we're happy to teach, or we'll play your games as well, right? And so I'm sure Dave saw I post and went, hey, we need to go make sure that we go see Conesy. And maybe he was looking for us to maybe play a game. I don't know. But it was just absolutely great. Nice. Here's 3 other people that are playing Distilled with me that had no, like I'd said, hey, I knew the publisher and stuff like that. But here's this like hammer at home. Here's the publisher. Hey, how's it going? And we're chatting, and I'm like, okay, so I told you guys, there's one question you're supposed to ask Dave about this game when you go to his booth tomorrow. What was that question? They all stared at me and went, I forgot. That was like part of the rules teach, and I already forgot. And I'm like, what that question is, you want to ask him, how did he come up with the idea to make this game? And so I put Dave on the spot. But probably, yeah, I'm sure at this point Dave was probably trying to relax a little bit from a heavy day of trying to market the company. But Smooth went right into it and told the story for these three guys that were playing Distilled with me, all about how he came up with the game, and it was great getting to see him and having them come find us. I would have been awesome if I would have been able to have a chance to play a game with Dave and those guys, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen, okay? Dave, if you're watching this, it's going to happen. We'll get a chance to play a game.
Yes. So that kind of wraps up our Thursday.
Yeah, that wraps up
Thursday. Yeah, I mean, we played pretty late, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty late by the time we got.
I mean, we were probably back to our room by 11, but we had events at 8 o'clock the next day. So
my event started at 9 a.m. the next day, but I had to get down there early to set up.
Hey folks, this is the Conesy here. That's going to wrap up our part 1 of our Gen Con 2023 recap. Suzanne and I just ended up chatting forever, recapping all the fun we had at Gen Con, and I hope you've been enjoying. Part 2 will be coming out later this week. We'll see if that's the final part or if we extend it to 3. We did shoot a lot of content for our Gen Con 2023, so we had a ton of fun. Again, to help make sure that you get to see these videos, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click that bell to make sure that you get notified when we release future videos as they come out. Of course, thanks for watching.
Hey there, it's Conesy. Thank you so much for watching. We put out videos weekly here at Wisco Dice. Check out our channel for more great videos and don't forget to subscribe. We also have more great content on our website at wiscodice.com. Of course, we do this all for you, the viewers. So please like the video if you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.